Dun, 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 dun. I saw the sun, it opened up my... Remember that one, Paul?
Yeah.
In his new book, Talk 90s with Me, 23 Unpredictable Conversations with Stars of an Unforgettable Decade, Chicago writer and film lover Matt Pace talked with people who were important parts of shows and movies that meant so much to kids who grew up in the 90s. What is there to be learned from all this nostalgia? Well, let's find out.
Yeah.
Matt joins us now to talk
morning,
about
Matt.
it. How are you, Matt?
Good morning, Paul and Robin. Nice to see you.
Nice
Good to
you.
see you. So you sound like me, like you might have been raised on the TV.
Well, the 90s was huge for movies and shows, and it still is with reboots and long-awaited sequels. The 90s has not gone away at all, but a lot of that material can feel pretty stale. So I thought it would be fun to go back to the decade when I first got excited about pop culture, talk to the people who were involved, and really focus on topics that they had never discussed before. There's no reason nostalgia can't feel new.
Yeah, so like, you know, everyone knows the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, but you talked to Karen Parsons, who played Hillary, so a lot of the actors who were essential in a lot of these shows. What did she have to say, reflecting back?
Absolutely, yeah. I think she was a really, a really underrated part of that show, which of course made Will Smith a star, came back recently as a Peacock series. It's not easy to be really self-involved, but also oddly endearing. And
Yeah.
Karen Parsons pulled that off. She didn't really get the movie roles that she deserved. And she was extremely forthcoming talking about that and how her career evolved as a result.
Interesting. How about Ariana Richards, the little girl Lex from Jurassic Park? Tremors.
Absolutely. Well, I still remember being afraid to see Jurassic Park the first time, but eventually I went to see it in the theater, and then I saw it again, and then I saw it again. That movie was huge for me, and of course it's still a huge property and a universe unto itself. So it was great to talk with Ariana Richards about movies that scared her as a kid, and if we can even still have our minds blown at the movies the way that we did in Jurassic Park.
Yeah. What is she doing these days?
She's an artist, actually, a painter.
Huh. All right.
That's great. Okay, what about Boy Meets World? That was out of my wheelhouse. Who did you talk to from Boy Meets World?
Well, Boy Meets World was such an important part of the 90s, and of course that also came back with another series, and now there's a podcast about it. And Mr. Feeney, played by William Daniels, was such an icon of education, of helping teach kids about doing the right thing. And he's in his mid-90s now, so it was such a treat to get to speak with him and really process the way that a person like that is seen now, because someone who represents that type of integrity and doing good, I think our perspective about that type of educator has changed. The world has changed a lot since the 90s. Yeah. So a lot of this book was also reflecting on my own relationship with this material and how we think about it now.
Yeah, so you talked to 23 people in total. Who was your favorite conversation? What's the nugget you learned that surprised you the most about one of these shows?
That's a great question. I mean, I'm so lucky that so many people were so excited to participate in this book. Gabrielle Anwar has a really fantastic personality and really gave a lot of great answers about Wild Hearts Can't Be Broken and Scent of a Woman and lots of things like that. I talked to Tom Everett Scott about That Thing You Do and how the music and movie industries have changed over time. A surprising connection between That Thing You Do and La La Land, another movie he was in. I love doing research for these interviews and asking questions. It's such a treat when someone says, no one's ever asked me that before, or I've never thought about it that way. That's when you know you're doing something right.
Well, let's end with Buzz from Home Alone. What'd you learn from him?
Well, you can't make a list of classic Chicago movies without putting Home Alone on it. So I spoke with Devin Rattray, who played Buzz in the movie, about a lot of things, including what Buzz's responsibility was for Kevin's behavior, because that movie played a lot differently in 1990 than it does now. and we can appreciate what a hit it was then and how much we enjoyed it then, while also seeing it with fresh eyes and saying, wow, this kid was way more violent than the intruders that broke into his house, played by Daniel Stern and Joe Pesci. So I'm such a big fan of celebrating the things that shaped us and meant a lot to us as kids, while also advancing the conversation with something thought-provoking, fun, funny, and deep all at once.
All right, well, this is cool. The book is called Talk 90s with Me. You can find Matt on his website and the socials. Matt, thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks, Matt.
Thanks so much, you guys.